All right. Hey, welcome back. Today, we're going to have our first opportunity to look at some of Shakespeare's writing style and to see what that looks like. We are going to be tomorrow registering for our classes for next trimester. So what that means is today, we're going to read this sonnet, and then in your textbook, you should take a look at page 230. But tomorrow, we're going to register for our classes, and then on Monday, we will be back in class as normal in order to really start the play in earnest, really look at the prologue, and start Act 1, Scene 1. What we're going to do today, though, is we're going to look at one of Shakespeare's most famous sonnets. This is sonnet number 18. Now, first of all, what's a sonnet? A sonnet is a 14-line poem with a particular rhyme scheme, and I'm going to talk you through that. I bet at some point when you've talked about poetry in an ELA class or a writing class, you've probably talked about rhyme scheme. We want to look at the structure of the poem before we ever look at the meaning, but we are going to take the time to look at the meaning today. So follow along. What I did in class was I printed out copies of this sonnet and I had people handwrite on it. I'm also going to post it as a PDF on Canvas for you so that you can split screen this and you can do notability if you would like. Ultimately, this is page 6 in your journal. So you can label page 6 sonnet translation, and then we're going to do this. So if you need to pause this to pull up the PDF or to print out the document, feel free to do so, and let's get into it. I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm going to work on my iPad here. So if I'm looking down and not giving eye contact, that's why. So first, let's just read it, then I'll go through it. So Sonnet 18 says, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee." Sonnet 18. Now, as we look at this, we got to look at the rhyme and the rhythm, look at the structure of the poem first. First of all, it's iambic pentameter. Remember that rhythm that we talked about when we did our Shakespeare intro. If you were to draw the rhythm, you do a little U type symbol to designate an unstressed syllable, and then you do a slash to show a stressed syllable. So if I'm going to exaggerate it in my speaking, shall I compare thee to a summer's day, right? You can see there the 5 pairs of syllables makes it pentameter, right? And because it's unstressed and unstressed, that's an iambic pentameter. It's the same rhythm that a lot of the play is in, which we'll be getting to later. Now let's look at the rhyme scheme or the pattern of rhyming. The way you designate that is you give each rhyming sound at the end of the line a letter. So day rhymes with May. Temperate rhymes with date, or it would in Shakespeare's day in his accent. So A-B, day, May. Temperate, date. Shines, declines. Dimmed, untrimmed, CD, CD. Then you can guess the next 4, right? E, F, E, F, fade, shade, owest, growest. And then it ends with a rhymed couplet, C, the. So that's another new sound. So it's G, G. This structure, 14 lines with this rhyme scheme, is called a Shakespearean sonnet because Shakespeare wrote 154 of them. There's also an Italian sonnet, and the Italian sonnet structure is ABBA, CDDC, EFG, EFG. Still 14 lines, just a different rhyme scheme, okay? Now, let's get into the meaning of the poem. Starting at the top. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Well, thee means you, and shall basically means should. I'm sure you know the word shall, but let's put it there. Should I compare you to a summer's day? Okay, so we're setting up this comparison, this central metaphor that's going to go through the entire poem. Okay. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Thou art, once again, thee means you when we're using it as the object of the sentence. In this one, the subject is I, right? Shall I compare thee? In this one, the subject is thee or thou. So it's you. You are more lovely and more temperate. Now, temperate, when we're talking about climate, means it's not too hot, not too cold, right? Just kind of cool or warm, chill, in between. So when we're talking about someone's personality being temperate, it means that they're calm, that they're chill, that they're even keeled. Someone earlier today said, oh, it's someone you can vibe with. And I like that description a lot. I'm going to cross out the word template and I'm just going to write chill. Not too hot, not too cold, not easy to anger, etc. Just a good hang, right? Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. When we're talking about buds, we're talking about those young flowers. We know that wind shakes the young flowers, the darling buds in the month of May. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. So first of all, that word lease, when you move into an apartment or you're renting a house, you sign a lease and it says, this is how long I'm going to live here. Usually it's a year and you can renew, might be month by month. But when we get to the end of the summer, we get to mid-August, and I'm sure you are experiencing the same thing that I'm experiencing, where you walk into Target or Walmart or Fred Meyer or whatever, and you see all the school supplies. And you look back at the summer that you've had and you think, oh my gosh, there's school supplies in stores already. Summer is way too short. And that's what Shakespeare's saying here. Summer's lease hath all too short a date. Summer's lease is too short. Whoops, excuse me. And I will also point out that while yes, we're talking about summer, it's shall I compare you to a summer's day? And he uses the word summer in this poem to symbolize youth, okay? And so he's making a statement there too, that our youth is too short, right? Sometimes too hot, the eye of heaven shines. Whoops. The eye of heaven, of course, is the sun. And often is his gold complexion dimmed. The sun might seem dimmed if it's hidden behind the clouds. So I'm going to write that. Often is it hidden behind. Let's fix that. Behind the clouds. And every fair from fair sometime declines. Now, when he's using the word fair here, he doesn't mean like the Puyallup fair. He doesn't mean equal. He means like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, okay? That word fair is really important in this line, and he's using it to talk about beauty. So I'm going to write that. Hopefully so you can read it. When we talk about the word declines, it means to go down, to degrade, to get worse, okay? And if I were to rewrite this in some of the words might seem a little bit out of order to us, I'm going to flip these around like this. So then when we do that, every fair sometime declines from fair, okay? Everything beautiful at some time declines from its beauty. Everything beautiful will fade, okay, is what that line means. And why will it fade? Well, he gives two reasons. By chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. Now, chance. It's possible that I could be out walking and maybe I've got my headphones on or something, I'm not paying attention, and out of nowhere, I get hit in the face with a baseball and it breaks my eye socket, okay? If that happens, I gotta go have reconstructive surgery, I gotta heal, I'm gonna be all bruised up for a long time, and it might not ever heal to look the way it did before. I might not keep these beautiful, good looks if I have a traumatic event like that, right? Everything beautiful fades. Every fair from fair sometime declines. That, if that were to happen, that would be just a random occurrence, right? It's true. Something can happen to you that causes you to lose some of your looks. So I'm going to write that here. Random occurrence. Or nature's changing course untrimmed. Okay. So when we look at that, what is it about nature that changes? Well, the seasons. Okay. And if the seasons are trimmed, that means they're cut short. But here they're untrimmed. So when we talk about everything beautiful fades by nature's changing course untrimmed, we're just talking about the normal aging process that happens as you get old. So I'm writing that. Everything beautiful fades. Every fair sometime declines from fair by random occurrence or just normal aging, okay? But thy eternal summer shall not fade. Remember earlier, we said that summer means youth. Oops. And thy means your. It's really important to note when you're looking at a poem, whenever you see the word but, it means there's a change, okay? The word but is a very important poetry word. So we've been talking about just kind of general nature and human experience. But now, we're transitioning to talk specifically about the person that Shakespeare is writing about. But your eternal youth shall not fade, okay? Nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Your eternal youth won't fade, and you won't lose possession of that. Remember, we said fair is beauty. You won't lose possession of that beauty you have. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. Death here is the subject. We've got personification, right? When we give human characteristics to non-human things. So what is death doing in this line? Well, he's bragging. Or more accurately, he can't brag. He's not bragging. Nor shall death brag, okay? What is it that death would want to brag about? Thou wanderest in his shade. Remember, thou is you. So, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade. Death can't brag that you're wandering in his shade. So the way I'm going to say that is, nor shall death brag that he has you. You aren't wandering in his shade. You're not near him. Death will never have a hold on you, okay? He will never have a hold on you when in eternal lines to time thou growest. We're going to hang on to that line for a second, come back to it. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. So this is the final rhymed couplet of the poem here. And as we look at this line right here, line 13, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, I think that's pretty straightforward, right? I think we understand what that means. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee, you. So this whole poem, this whole metaphor, all of this leans on this word, this, okay? The word this is a pronoun, and it stands in for, which means it stands in for a noun. It takes the place of something. Now, it doesn't explicitly state what this is. So we have to look at this and think about, okay, as Shakespeare's writing here, what is the thing that he says lives as long as men can breathe or eyes can see, what is this thing that gives life to her as long as men can breathe or eyes can see? Because here we are 500 years later, and we can breathe and we can see. So in a way, she's still living. So how is that possible, right? Obviously, Shakespeare's been dead a long time, and this person he's writing about has been dead for a long time, okay? But there's something that still lives. There's something that's around. There's something that gives life to her. I don't know if you've heard the Macklemore song that has the line in it that says, you die twice. First when they bury you in the grave. The second is the last time anybody mentions your name. It's that same idea from the movie Coco, right? When a person dies, they go to the land of the dead, and they live there and they stay as long as someone continues to put them on the ofrenda, as long as somebody remembers them. And when the last person forgets about them, then they fade away forever, forever. And that's what Shakespeare's referring to here, is that same idea. When he says, so long lives this, the this that he's talking about is this poem. So long as men can breathe and eyes can see, so long lives this poem. And this poem gives life to you. And here we are more than 400 years later, and we're reading this poem. So do we know a lot about her? Do we know what she looks like? That sort of thing? No. But we know she existed. And according to Shakespeare, she's beautiful. Okay. So when we look at the poem now, we are the reason that her eternal summer, her eternal youth doesn't fade, because we're still reading the poem here years and years later. Okay. Let's take it from the top. All right. Sonnet 18. Should I compare you to a summer's day? You are more lovely and more chill, more even-keeled, more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling flower buds of May, and youth or summer's lease is too short. Sometimes the sun is too hot, and often is it hidden behind the clouds, and everything beautiful at some point declines from its beauty by random occurrence, stuff happens by chance, or through the normal process of aging. But your eternal youth shall not fade, nor lose possession of the beauty you have. Nor will death be able to brag that he has you when in eternal lines to time thou growest. Now we know that when we're talking about eternal lines, we're talking about eternal lines of poetry. And when we say thou growest, right? Obviously she's not getting taller, but your reputation grows. Okay. But your eternal youth shall not fade, nor lose possession of that beauty you have, nor shall death brag that he has you, and in these eternal lines of poetry, your reputation will continue to grow. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this poem, and this poem gives life to you. Okay. Pretty cool. Pretty cool sentiment when we look at that. There you go. William Shakespeare's Sonnet 18. Tomorrow we register for classes. Monday we dive into Romeo and Juliet. I hope you're ready. I hope you're excited. I know I am. Looking forward to seeing you then. Make it a great day. Talk to you soon.